Live from New York, you've now entered the Chop Shop. From sports to politics to social issues and everything else, you've come to the right place. Now, your host, J-Lat and T-Lats.
It was all a dream.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Yo, it's your boy J-Lat, and I got my girl T-Lat, a.k.a. T-Sizzle, with me tonight. Oh, you guys are in for a treat tonight. We've been waiting. 2023 has passed us. We are now entering in 2024. We heard you guys out there. We listened, and guess what? We've been getting our game together, and we've been ready to get you guys something fresh for the new year. We want to take our time, and as we thought about what we're going to talk about, it had to be important. For the very first show, it had to be something very meaningful. So I'm going to start off with this, and I want you guys to remember B-U-I-L-D, build. We have a word for each one of those letters, and my girl T-Lac came up with the program, and guess what? We're gonna give it to you like how you guys need it. But first and foremost, T-Lad, how you doing? Talk to me.
Oh, I'm doing good. Happy New Year. It's so good to be back with everybody. I missed y'all. I missed hanging out with you, Boo, on your podcast. So I'm ready to chop it up. Let's do it.
That's right. You know how we do it. We're gonna chop it up. So before we can enter in 2024, we want to reflect back on 2023 because we know personally for us, we had a lot going on in 2023. So I want to break it down to a couple of areas before we get into our building segment. The first thing I want to talk about is health, because I feel like health is one of the most important things that we need to take care of. And sometimes as people, we don't put enough emphasis on that. So I have a two-part question for you. The first thing is, how important is it to be healthy for yourself? And how did you pivot to make sure that you become a healthier trait?
Okay. Well, last year was real challenging. 2023, I had knee surgery and I had hand surgery. So I really had a lot, most of the summer pretty much, I was recovering from surgeries and injuries. So, but prior to those things happening, I took the year before because I knew the surgery was coming. I took the year before to get myself really, really healthy. So I was grinding. I was at boot camp 5 days a week. Shout out to FBBC in Woodbridge. So I took that year to get my body really ready and my eating habits, my nutrition, I got that ready. So when I had the surgery, my recovery wouldn't take as long. So I really spent a lot of time getting myself mentally and physically ready. And the way I pivot, well, I've been an athlete my entire life. So I was so excited to get back into the gym. So it wasn't as hard for me to do my physical therapy, to eat right, to get my rest, to listen, to let you take care of me instead of me trying to do everything. So I just know that in our community, health is a big issue. And we have high blood pressure, we have diabetes, we don't want to drink water, all those things. So we're building this year, and one of the areas that we want to do that is taking care of our health, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually.
I really appreciate that. And I know I seen the grind. I saw when you had your surgeries. I seen how you battled. You didn't give up. You put in 100%. So it just shows that whatever you want to do as an individual, you can do. But we got to take care of our health. Now I wanna pivot to community. And we talk so much about our community, but community as a whole. If let's say you were in a position where you can make a difference, if you were able to change or assist within our community, what were some of the things that you would do, knowing that some people don't have the resources, and even for those that may have the resources, how would you be able to assist those communities and making our communities a better place to live?
Well, I think one thing we all have to do, and we all can contribute, whether you have the resources or you don't, is to change the mentality of our people.
Mm,
Especially people of color. We talk about the past and slavery, but I think today some of our folks are still enslaved mentally.
Mm.
And if not just your physical, it's your mental. So if you still in chains mentally, you will never see the growth that you could have. So one thing that I like to do is mentor young ladies, because I think they are mentored now by social media, what they see, what they hear, what's on TikTok. But that's just not reality. So I like to work with young people, and I will continue to work with young people, as do you, every day, um, helping to change the mentality and helping our young ladies and our older women. We have friends, and I think we'll get into that, that you're older, but you still don't know your worth. And I think when you change your mindset and get out of that slave mental mentality, we can start enhancing and changing our communities.
The Bible always talk about my people perish for a lack of knowledge, and I think that it goes on to that topic in which you said mindset. Like, you can't change if you don't change, right?
Oh,
Our way of thinking, and being enslaved. I often think about our ancestors and what they went through, and I thank God each and every day that I didn't have to go through that. But I feel like I owe it to them to be an example of not being enslaved. And when I look around our communities, often I feel and I look at people that are still enslaved because of their mentality, like hurting each other, stealing from each other, talking about one another. Like, when are we gonna get to the point where we're empowering each other? When we
right.
pulling our brother and sister up instead of kicking them down. And I think that, and that's why communities suffer. If you look at the communities that do well, they do things together. They make sure that no one's going to come and rob anyone in their communities, because they're going to call the police. They don't care about the no snitch and all of that. No, if you mess up my neighborhood, I'm calling the cops. I'm a civilian. I'm not a person in the street. So I want my neighborhood and my community to continue to do well. And I think if we have that approach, we'll start getting better results in those communities.
Right. And I think, when we talk about being enslaved mentally, that's just not it's also in relationships. Sometimes we
Oh,
are in bondage and chains in relationships where we know that they aren't healthy for us. So our children are hanging out, they're trying to get association and community out in the streets because they don't see community and association in their homes. And I think that our brothers and our sisters, the older generation, the teenagers and the grown folks, are enslaved in relationships because they don't know they worth. So they rather have a little bit of something instead of waiting on what God has ordained just for them. So this enslaved mentality goes beyond just our mental state, emotional state. It's our relational state, our financial state. Just because we poor don't mean we always have to be poor.
mm. And you just see, this is how I know we think alike, because my next topic that I was going to talk about in 2023 is finances.
Mm,
In your own opinion, what role does finances have on families who either have them, the finances, or don't? Like, we've come from environments and households where we didn't have. And some of those things that you're exposed to, some of the things that you're able to benefit off of, you don't get those chances. And I want a lot of these young kids to understand that just because you don't have the resources and the finances don't mean that you can't make it. You just gotta go a little harder. You got to go through some battles that you may not want to, but that you have to. So it's important for us as parents to make sure that we don't give our children what was given to us. We
yeah,
should be the next step. Like, we should be passing that baton instead of throwing it on the floor.
that's good. I think that again, it goes back to building mentalities. We were poor growing up. We didn't have a whole lot, but we didn't know we were poor.
Right.
We was rich in everything else. We were rich in community. We were rich in love. Family wise, the family structure was a little bit closer. You didn't have much. If you were sharing a sandwich though with your boy or your sister or your brother, you didn't know that you were broke. But our kids, because especially we grew up military, in the military environment. So our kids never wanted for anything. My daughter don't know not like to have food in the refrigerator or several pair of tennis shoes or jeans in
Right.
the closet, a nice bedroom. But there's other people out here that don't have that same experience. But we have to change the mentality of our children to think you don't have to buy as soon as you get money. We know with our grandkids, if we send them $100, Sheen, Amazon, they're gonna have that money before close the business, before the end of the night. But we got to start thinking, okay, I can spend a little bit, but I have to delay my desire for other things, and I can save a little bit. Not just spend, spend, spend. That's what we do, and then we have to teach financial literacy, not just to young people. We got friends that shop like crazy. Every time they see somebody with a new car, they need a new car. They see somebody with a nice crib, they gotta have big old, how they somebody with some nice drip, like these shirts we got from the chop shop.
Yes, 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 yes.
They gotta have it. So we gotta change that mentality. We have to delay that desire and build our resources so we can go out and help our community.
Right, right. And you made so many valid points on there. I work with juveniles that have gotten in trouble, and just listen to some of their conversations on pants. I had a kid who had a $500 pair of pants on and a hoodie that was like $400, and you living in a hood. Like, what sense does that make? So we have to teach our young people like the value of putting money into a bank,
Yeah.
putting money into a 401k, putting money into stocks, putting money into bonds, putting money into areas where it can make you money, even if not right now, but later on in life. And for some reason, our young people just don't know. But as you said, some of our adults don't know that as well. So we got a lot to make up, and that's why 2024 gonna be the year of building. Now, my last thing, and I think to me is the most important, is faith.
Mm.
Most people don't have a relationship with God. A lot of people don't have a relationship to God. So for those people who don't, either maybe they weren't taught, maybe they don't understand, or maybe they just don't care. What would be your advice to those people that are struggling in that area when it comes to faith?
Well, you know what? I think the first advice I would offer is not to the non-believer, but to the believer. We have got to quit fronting and acting like we have it all together because we got Jesus and Jesus alone. The reality is life is tough.
Right.
Situation is tough. So I'm not selling Jesus to you. I'm trying to sell hope to you, faith
Mm.
to you. And as Christians, sometimes we make God up here like unreachable because we think we make people feel like they have to be perfect and they can't make mistakes and you have to wear a certain thing or you have to know two scriptures and a hikamashaitai, but that's not reality. God, and even Paul said you have to meet people where they are. So I think my advice would be to the Christians, bring it down a little bit. Give God to people the way Jesus was given to us. Open up your heart. Teach them. If you don't want to go to church, go online. If you don't want to go online, pray every day. Because it's gonna be a point in your life, in all of our lives, when you're gonna have to call on that name. So I think just making God more reachable to everybody is the first thing that we could do to build in faith in our community. And then the second thing is people that's in leadership set the example. And I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Mm. Yeah, you're gonna leave it at that. I'm a piggyback off of that. So I think as someone who found Christ later on in life,
Mhm.
for myself, I know it's important for people to continue to pray for you and empower you and inspire you. I had people that I knew that always say, I'm be praying for you. Don't worry, one day you'll get it. Versus, oh, you ain't nobody. Oh,
Mhm.
you ain't gonna never get it. Because for someone who doesn't know, someone who's on the fence, or someone who just wasn't taught, that can be so detrimental to them becoming a believer. And I
Mhm.
think we got to do a better job of, as you said, people that are in leadership lead by example. And let people know that, you know what? Nobody's perfect. And just because you stumbled, that don't mean that you're a bad person. You stumbled. God know we gonna stumble.
Right.
That's why he sent Christ, because he knew that we couldn't do what he did. And
Mhm.
that's what we got to sell to people. Like, it's okay if you mess up. I'm going to meet you where you at. And when you stumble, I'm here for you to listen, not to tear you down. That's one thing that we don't do well as it pertains to the church as a whole. Not saying that every church does it, but there's people in all churches that have that mentality, as we were just talking about.
Right. We get so judgmental about I remember when I met you, you weren't thinking about no Jesus. You wasn't talking about
Amen.
Jesus. You weren't thinking about you were into some other stuff, but I was, I had grew up a Christian, so I would talk to you about Jesus, and you didn't just throw your hand up at me, but you was like, yeah, 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 whatever. But it's so funny. I could have just threw you away as a friend at that point and said, that dude, he not about nothing. But I used to pray for you, even before you even knew God. And I remember, asking God to show himself strong to you and reveal himself to you. And I didn't know that years later, when you let me know that you had got saved, I was walking into my building that morning, and I saw an email, and you said, I got saved. And I just started bawling. I just started crying because I said, God is so faithful.
Right.
But I think just being being an example and showing you what God did in my life contributed to the other people who sowed seeds and watered it along the way. So don't throw Christians, stop throwing people away just because
Right.
they aren't where you think you are.
Just think about it. If you would have threw me away as a friend, we would have never been husband and wife. So that's huge.
Won't he do it?
Won't he do it? Okay, let's get back on track because he will do it. All right. And then we want to talk about relationships. What have you learned about relationships in this past year as it pertains to friends, as it pertains to coworkers, as it pertains to me being your spouse? What have you learned this past year that has helped you in dealing with relationships?
Okay, well, let's start with the most important one first. You. What I love about you is your way of um, uh, letting me know that small things aren't really big things, and don't let the small things impede us, our relationship,
Right,
or people or family members, So I love the circle that you have built around our relationship, especially in this last year, because we're coming up on 5 years
that's
married.
right, that's right, that's right.
And we've learned a lot in those 5 years, 5 years of being married. And so patience, unconditional love. It's okay to say I'm sorry. Um, you don't have to be as stubborn.
Right,
Yeah, yeah. So those are things that I learned, and then I learned also, if you can agree to disagree on things, but don't let that impact your relationship, because people want to see discourse in relationships, and sometimes you can let outside interferences impact your relationship. So I love the circle, like we say, the circle of trust. I love the circle you have encapsulated me and our relationship with. And I love the way that you have maturated into the man that you are. If you don't know, you say, I don't know. But you will YouTube it, you will pray about it, you will find a way to, yes, to learn. So I love that about you. Relationships with friends. Uh, some people are just associates. Some people are friends. Some people are assignments, as Pastor Darius Daniel says. And sometimes we take those assignments. We should take those assignments more seriously And sometimes we just blow those off. But some people come into your life, I think um, God has a purpose. And even if you're just sowing a little bit of seed in them, that might be just enough. But then some people are just for a season. They come and they go, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. So I've just seen so many people in relationships, especially females that I know, everybody's seeking that love. They want that Denzel and Idris Elba. And sometimes we have an unrealistic view of what our mate should be. So we better get off of come out of Hollywood, because in the real life, your Idris might not be in Idris form.
Mm, wow. So I just want to say this. One thing I've learned about relationships as it pertains to you, and something that you helped me with, um, allow me to see, is boundaries,
Mm.
right? Sometimes I don't see the things that you see, and you've had to teach me, like, no, certain things you got to put boundaries, because you got to understand the dynamics of people. And this is one thing that people have to understand. I'm talking to my males out there. Listen to your wife, your girlfriend, or your significant other, whichever one it is, because a lot of times they see things that we don't see, even though we think we got everything under control. But as a woman, they see things that we don't see. And just like for us as men, we see things that women don't see. So instead of us fighting with our spouse or our significant other or our girlfriend or whatever, just learn to listen. So for me, I had to learn that. I had to learn how to put boundaries and secure us and take care of us, because the devil is always lurking. The
Yeah.
devil always and the thing about it is the devil will send people your way who you think are not the devil, who's on his assignment. And that person is the assignment to come and mess up your life. So I want to thank you for always protecting me, always being there, being a great wife, um, telling me like it is times when I didn't want to hear it. You always made sure that I heard exactly what was on your mind. So I appreciate you for that. And as it pertains to friends, as you said, some people assignments, some people as friends. I know who my friends are. I appreciate them. Um, and at this point, I don't really need any more friends. I like to do everything with us, me and you, and our group of people that we hang out with. I'm cool with that, and I'm just gonna leave it like that. So,
I just want to give a shout out to the group of folks that we hang out with. Y'all know who y'all are. We love
right,
them. We do stuff together. We was all just together on New Year's, or we travel together other places, or we meet at each other's houses. And it's a blessing. So those friends, we know if they need anything, and they know if we need anything. We know if we need anything, that we can count on them, and that includes some of our neighbors as well. We got a nice group of
right,
people in our circle, so I'm grateful to God that He's put the right folks in our path.
right. We got some awesome people, and you learn throughout life. The toughest thing is, um, God will reveal to you, sometimes you have to get away from certain people. You
Amen.
know, not that you don't love them, but you just have to, in order for you to become better. And sometimes you're helping them to become better, because now they have to stand on their own. So
That's good.
he sure will reveal some things to you. So I'm thankful for that. So let's get into this building season 2024. Um, the first letter in build, of course, is build, the letter B. Um, so I have a couple of questions in each category. So my first is, can you touch on what building means to you in terms of our household, our community, the church, and what steps can people take to build? Because some people don't know. It's an easy word to assess, but it's a difficult word to put out there and actually obtain what it is that you're trying to do. So, what does build mean to you?
Well, I think in the last 5 or 6 years, we have built our house internally. But now in 2024, I think God is putting us in a different direction to where we need to go out and do more, like, active in church. We're pretty active. We go to church, we volunteer and things like that. You work with young men all the time on an everyday basis, so you're building them from the inside out, because they're coming from where they've been built from the outside, and nobody really knows what's on the inside. But you get an opportunity. God is giving you the assignment to help build them from the inside out, and it could be as simple as calling them kings, and things like that. So I think God is allowing us 2024 because I feel like we got a good foundation internally in the Latimer household. So I think right now I want to go out and do more. So even on my job, I'm working on having a great relationship with my coworkers, my peers, my colleagues, and even with my employees. Coming from a military background, sometimes it's just this is what the policy say, blah, 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 blah. But I'm seeing something different now, So now I'm trying to focus on working on each one of them. What are your goals? What are your desires? Helping to build them as well. And then financially, we have our financial goals. We're well on our way. And not just to obtain wealth for us, both of us are givers. We give to our
By nature.
family. We give uh, to our community. I'm a gift giver. Either you're a gift giver. You're a gift giver now.
I've learned over the
Yeah,
years.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm really, really want to build our community, black and brown, white, whatever, so we can kind of be more cohesive, because in this crazy environment, political environment, everything seems like it wants to tear us down. We got wars all over the place, but somebody has to be the construction worker. Jesus was.
Mm,
Jesus was a construction worker. He was building. So I think we should start with building hope. And that's in our community and our families, um, on our job, everywhere. So that's what building means to me.
right. So I think what it means to me is, and we've touched on this, and I think hopefully, if God want us to, that we will adopt a young child, a son.
All the
We
time.
both had daughters, but we didn't have that boy that we desire. So if we could this year start the process of, giving a young man an opportunity and exposing them to things that we weren't exposed to as kids, I think that's one of the things I want to build on. As far as work, I want to continue to build and help the people around me, and to show them that we are a team. When we do things together, we're greater. Doing things individually, it don't work because
Mm.
everybody has their own agenda. We've been doing some good things at work. As far as home life, I just want to continue to build our relationship, our trust in each other, our connection, our communication. Just continue to get better, and then understand, like, you know what? It's okay to not agree. Like that. That's the thing that people have to understand. You have two people, two different mindsets. You're not going to agree on everything, but you could still show love and walk away knowing that you still love that person. But guess what? You just didn't agree on that situation. So I want to do better in that, and continue to build my relationship with God each and every day. My reading, praying, and just being there for other people, being a true disciple. So that's one of the things I want to build on. Those are things I want to build on, I should say. Now, let's go to the you and build. We could either talk us or unity. So, what you think is needed to build a closer bond personally and professionally, um, and spiritually, as it pertains to us, not just us in our household, but what I see now is the unity isn't where it should be, right? As you said, we got so much craziness going on. You got Republicans, you got Democrats, you got good, you got evil, but I think that we need to find some unity in this country so that we can get back to loving one another versus you got side over here that's hate, side over here that's trying to show love, but there's no connection between the two. So, what do you think about that?
Well, that's a great responsibility for the church. And the
Mm,
church is each one of us. And it comes down to me to respect. If you're a Muslim, you're a Buddhist, and I'm a Christian, there's common ground somewhere. Even if it's the common ground is humanity. We care
right,
about humanity. I care about Israel and I care about Gaza. I care about both communities. I want to see all their children grow up. I want to see war ended everywhere. You know what I mean? I want to see, like Dr. Martin Luther King said, black kids and white kids walking down the street hand in hand. And that's one thing about the generation of young people coming up now. They don't really see color. They're
no,
taught all that hate. That hate comes from inside of their own home because you can pull up Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. They have a nucleus of friends from all type of backgrounds and religious beliefs and things like that. And they get along, whether they come together by sports or music or dances or whatever it is. But the church, sometimes I think, ostracize other people that's different. The reality is God made us unique, each one of us. So we're all different. We have to find some kind of human, common ground to where it matters. It's just a basic respect for other people and their uniqueness and their
mm,
differences. I mean, just think about me and you. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. Shout out to Cleveland to the 216. You grew up in New York City, the Big Apple.
the rotten apple,
Chicago.
baby.
Yeah, so totally different mentalities. You know what I'm saying? I grew up without parents. You had parents, whether it was for a little while or you still have a mom, so we grew up totally different, but we have found a common bond and respect for one another. And if we can do it here, like they say in the Empire State of Mind, you can do it anywhere. You
Right.
have to want to get along with other people.
Now, one of the things as we talk about uniting, I want to talk about voting. How do we get people united to vote,
Mm,
whether whatever party they vote for? Because this election here is probably one of the most important elections. And I think that sometimes people look at politics and they say, "Oh, I don't want to deal with that." But your decision and your lack of participation can sometimes be a result of what you don't want.
listen, we don't have the right to sit this one out. Dr. Martin Luther King on the week of his birthday, that's what he lived and died for us to have an opportunity to have a voice. He could have just sat in his little church and not said nothing and only had Black people in his church, but he didn't. He went out and built a nucleus of everybody. He was working for equal rights for everybody. So you're telling me you don't like this person or you don't like that person, but do you really know? Are you really looking into it? Or are you just going off of something you saw on Facebook or TikTok or what your parents or your cousins said?
Mm.
No, you have a voice. You have to use your voice. If you don't vote, stop talking, stop complaining. We cannot afford to sit this out. It take when we go vote, it take us what, 5 minutes?
5 minutes.
If it took us 5 hours, we will stand right there in that line because I refuse for my voice not to be heard. I refuse to let just anybody, any crazy person get in the presidency or locally or the school board that only spews vitriol and hate. So, okay, you might not like everything this president does or that president or this congressman, but you still have to get out there and let your voice be known. If you don't, shut up.
Shame on you if you don't.
Shame
That-
on you.
That's all
Disgrace.
I say.
Yes,
Too many people sacrifice for us not to go out there and do what we are supposed to do.
absolutely.
So Too many people sacrifice. So when people talk like that to me, I just say, you know what? Too many people have sacrificed for me. It's my right and my duty to make sure that I at least go out there and vote. And there was a time where I didn't understand that. And
Mm,
that's one of those things going back when you're not taught and you don't know, you make bad decisions based on what you don't know.
right.
And it's a lot of people out there making bad decisions because what they don't know. So if we could watch a game for 3 hours or we could watch a movie, how about we listen to some politics? How about we read some books? How about we go to some meetings so we could get in the know versus the not know? Because you know the quote out there is people, oh, you guys are the woke people. I'd rather be woke than sleep.
Woke.
So
We own knowledge every day. Yep, I'm
yep.
woke. Wide
We own not what's that again? We own knowledge every day.
we
Woke.
own knowledge every day. And
We're
think
gonna
about it. You will vote for you'll do a football bracket, you'll do a NC2A March Madness bracket, you'll do a Swami football pool. That's voting. That's you're
absolutely.
you're picking who you think will win. Well, you know what? In 2024, we have an opportunity to pick the best team. What you gonna do? You gonna barbecue or mildew?
Mm, don't do them like that. So let's go with the I intentionally. So the Bible talks about our people perishing for lack of knowledge, and it also said, um, where there's no vision,
Yeah,
there's you
people
know people
perish.
perish. So what does vision mean to you, and how important it is to stay focused as you go through your vision stage?
I think it's Habakkuk 2 and 2. I know it's Habakkuk. Write the vision, make it plain. Write the
Hmm.
vision, make it plain. Without vision, like you said, people perish. You can't just wake up and say, "No, I don't know what I'm gonna do." You know what you're gonna do with your finances. You know you got to pay your bills. You know you got to go to the gym. You know you got to put gas in your car. You're intentional about the things you want to be intentional about. You want to lose 20 pounds, but you don't want to go to the gym, and you keep eating cheeseburgers and fries on a regular basis. Don't get me wrong, I like cheeseburger and fries too. But
Me
I'm just
too.
saying, you have to be intentional. If you want a good relationship with your spouse, you have to be intentional. If you want to get good grades in school, you have to be intentional. If you want to vote or you want to be a part of the political process, you have to be intentional. You want to get to work on time, then stop staying up late, stop leaving the house late. You have to be intentional. So if you want a good relationship, stop rolling with these trolls, these dudes or these females you know not any good for you, but they look good. No, you have to be intentional. Don't lower your standards, know your worth. You have to be intentional about the things that you truly want.
Mm, I love that. All right, so now the L, obvious, love. So I know this word is often thrown around, misused, devalued. So what do you think love means to you? And how vital is it to show love to people even when people don't show it back?
Ooh, come on now. Well, there's
Ooh,
different
let me
types
say that one more time.
of okay.
How vital is it to show love to people when they don't show love back to you? What do you think God is looking at you when he's saying, my daughter, my son? Because I already know my answer, but I'm going to let you speak first.
Well, God is love. Period. Jesus is love. You know, sometimes I wish I had some of the attributes a lot of the time that Jesus has, because sometimes it's just hard to love people. Let's just keep it 100. You know, but love
Amen.
unconditional, but there's different, levels of love. There's eros, that erotic kind of love, agape, unconditional love, then there's that brotherly kind of love, so it's different levels to love, but just on an everyday basis with people, you just have to realize that people could be crazy, people could be uneducated, but you have to find a way to love them anyway. I know it's probably been days you've been like, I love that girl, but I don't like her right now.
Woo!
I really?
No, because I know you felt that way about me.
Yeah. But you also need to know that just because you love people don't mean that you have to tolerate a lot of things from people. Because sometimes
Mm,
people take advantage of the fact that you love them and they think they can do anything or they think they can say anything or treat you any kind of way. But we are learning as we maturate through life, like, no, I love you, but you're not gonna talk to me crazy. You're not gonna treat me crazy. I'm not doing bending over backwards, doing all these things, because I'm learning how to love me. You gotta learn how to love yourself. So I said give people a pass, when they wrong you. Love them anyway, pray for them anyway. But sometimes it requires that you keep your distance or that you don't say anything to them at all. So there's different kind of love, different levels of love, but ultimately, that's what we're called here to do.
Right. What I've learned is that um, I can love you, but I don't have to deal with you.
Amen.
You know what? Like I love you. I want the best for you. I don't want nothing to happen to you, but I don't have to deal with you. And that's a learning. That's maturing as a person instead of just cutting people off and like I ain't dealing with them or whatever. But no, because if I'm gonna be the person who God want me to be, then I still have to love people. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to like who they are or what they do, but you still have to show love and grace because that's what He's given us. In our
Right.
times when we wasn't our best, and He didn't turn His back on us. So I've had to learn that. Didn't always have that, but I'm learning and that to love people and wish them the best, but it just don't have to be around me, and
Right.
and I'm fine with that.
Well,
You know.
Pastor Darius Daniel said something about you can love people, but that don't grant them automatic access. I don't care
Right,
who they are. They don't have automatic access to come in and disrupt your peace. And
right.
sometimes, because both of us are loving people and we have good hearts for people, sometimes people take advantage of that and want to come in and just destroy your peace because they don't have peace or they're mentally somewhere else. You know what I mean? So, you can open the door for people and say, hey, I'm here if you need me, but I'm not here if you're going to constantly bring me drama or bring me down. Like, life is short, so I don't want to spend it dealing with your issues. You don't, I love you. You don't want to be bothered with me. I'm good with it. I'm
What
good.
I what I tell you all the time, and you be looking, I know you be looking at me crazy sometimes, but I be like so nonchalant about certain things because, and what I say to you, I be like, I don't care, and I really don't like because I know what's important to me. Like you, number one. Everything else after that is like okay, like how important is it? I mean, I'm still here for you, but when it concerns you, that's at the top. All that other stuff, I'll be like, whatever. You know, it ain't
It's
that
God
important.
family, God,
Eh,
us, our
right.
circle, and then we pour out as much love as people are willing to accept. And if they not, we just keep it moving.
Deuces. Now let's get with the last and the last letter of build is dedication or devotion, whichever one you want.
Mm.
Um, how important is prayer and what are some of the areas that you want to be dedicated to this year in 2024?
Prayer is everything to me. Even if you don't have to be a long drawn out prayer. You know how some people get they so deep. It could be just something that
And the Lord said,
and bend that ear back to me, and get that little wine going. But honestly, it could be something that's like, God, I'm just so grateful. Thank you for waking me up this morning. Thank you for my husband, that he's healthy and strong. Just keep your angels camped around our household. Thank you, Lord. It could be simple as that, and then sometimes it requires a deeper dive into whatever's going on. Like right now, we're on a 21-day consecration, some of us, in our church. And so it's no meat, no sweets, So that was my commitment, no meats and no sweets. And so and prayer, increase your prayer life. So that's my dedication for it's just 21 days, you know what I mean? So I'm dedicated to growing spiritually. We both said we're gonna read more, we're gonna pray more, we're gonna, we already listen to a lot of sermons and go to church and things like that. But still, building, 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 building. Because if there's nothing in, when you need it, there's nothing gonna come out. You're empty. So spiritually, we want to build, and then we said, financially, like we discussed a little bit earlier, stacking up those chips. Stacking up,
Dip
stacking.
Ahoy's.
Stacking up those chips, not just for us, but so we can continue to
To
be
bless other people.
blessing to
Right.
other people, which we do all year long. And then just building friendships, building relationships with these kids out here. That's a passion for us, and building our family, because we talked about fostering a young man. That's the desire of our heart. So we're praying on that God will open up that door and give us an opportunity to bless a young man's life and watch him go to college and go off to be something better than what society thought he was going to be. So that's the
Mm,
desire of our
right.
heart. That obviously, dedicated and committed and devoted to you being a better wife. And all that entails. And I know, and God knows. So whatever it is that areas God want me to improve on, that's what I want to do. So that's what build means to me.
Mm, that was so. I want to just piggyback off of that before we get off. For me, definitely, when it comes to dedication, devotion is definitely being in the Word. That's the one area in my life that I'm not consistent at, and I made it an emphasis to be better this year. Why? Because when you don't have, as you said, when you don't have the Word in you, if we get into a disagreement and I should speak to you like uh someone who is not coming from the flesh but the spirit, then that causes confusion within the household, right? So the better I am prayed up and in tune with God, the better I'm gonna be as a husband, and you reap the benefits of that, just like you being a great wife and I'm reaping the benefits of that. So that's, for me, that's the most important thing, having that relationship, because everything else, I think that we on point. We do pretty well. We're givers. We help people and stuff like that. So now it's just about giving God more time, and being in that connection, so that when I see somebody out and they want to pray, and I could pray with them right then, versus saying, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'll pray for you," but
Right.
life happens and we may not pray for that person.
Right.
So I'm learning to say, if you want to, you need me to pray for you. Want me to pray for you right now? You need prayer to help people. And the only way you could do that is you being in prayer yourself. So, and being in the word. So I just want to be a better Christian. I'm gonna falter. I'm human. I'm not Jesus. Um, and I don't want to be Jesus. So I just want a better walk and be a better person. So that's what I'm devoted to this year. And of course, being a great husband to you, making sure that you're secure, everything, that you feel safe, and that I cover our house. So
Mhm.
that's what I'm about. So it's been wonderful. It's been great. I'm happy that we got back into it. I'm gonna give you the last say so on as we end the chop shop tonight. But take us away, T Lat. Give us something, give the people something for the night.
Give people something. First of all, can you show the book, please? I just wanted to put a shout out, hold it up a little bit for my book, Be Trade. It's a poetry book. I wrote it years ago. As a matter of fact, Jerome and I both are poets. One of us finished our book. One of us have a book finished, but we messing around and not getting it published yet. You can take it down, babe. Thank you. So if you're interested in getting a copy, I'll gladly autograph it for you and get it out to you. They're only $12. So if you're interested, let me know and I'll definitely get a book to you. And I just want to say, take this year and build. Whatever that means to you, take the time, write the vision, make it plain, build in every area of your life. Get your fitness together. You want to be in that two-piece. Start now. Don't wait till April or May. You better get down there and get on your grind right now. You want your finances to be better, cut up some of them credit cards, put a little money off to the side for that trip you want to take at the end of the summer. You know what I mean? You want to build in your community. Find somebody that need help. Find somebody off that's worse off than you that could use a hand up and not a hand in the face. Okay. So we got a lot of work to do in 2024. You got to vote, baby. You got to vote.
Gotta vote.
All right, we love you. Shout out to Noah's Art Studios for designing the Chop Shop logo, and shout out to Axieland and Potomac Mills Mall for creating the design on our shirts for us. So much love. Love you.
Thank you. Peace, and we out.